Design control is the process of establishing and maintaining a fixed system to control the design of higher-class medical devices to ensure their efficacy, safety, and adherence to regulatory requirements. Design control is a mandatory requirement by the FDA and the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. The design control process has to be written or electronically documented to show how it addresses the regulatory requirements. Not all devices require design control. Devices that are Class 2 and Class 3, along with certain Class 1 devices, require design control in order to fulfill their regulatory requirement. Class 1 devices like crutches and bandages do not need design control as they are low risk. Class 1 devices that require design control are devices with automation software, surgical gloves, tracheobronchial suction, catheter, restraints, and some devices with radionuclide components. Design control falls under the jurisdiction of quality management systems. Medical manufacturers must establish, maintain, and implement design control systems as part of the quality management system as per ISO 13485-2015. While the FDA has a separate regulation set for design control, the nature of the process sets it as part of the QMS. The purpose of design control is exactly what the name suggests. The process controls the design of a medical device. After the idea of a device is finalized, each step of the device design has to be overseen and assessed. This ensures the final device is of the highest quality. Design control is not one individual step. Rather, it's a combination of a few. Each step of the design control has its unique purpose. For example, the design input assessment appraises whether the given requirement of the device is conflicting in nature or diminishes the efficacy of the device. The output assessment ensures, among other things, that the device's main functions are maintained during the final design. There are also other parts of the process that are involved in making the whole process unbiased. The FDA has primarily proposed these steps to be part of the design control procedure. The ISO advice steps are very similar. Manufacturers are required to establish and maintain each of these procedures and adhere to them, although they can add to them if they like. The first step is to determine a few details about the device. For example, your team will have to classify the device, figure out its intended use, the targeted patient population, etc. While this step is carried out before design control or even the design process, how the design control will proceed primarily depends on this step. The next step is design planning. At this stage, the manufacturer creates a design and development plan that outlines the complete process. The plan is not only for the design itself, but for the process too. Hence, details like who is responsible for which part of the design and manufacture, which team is responsible for what, etc., need to be included. In addition to that, responsibilities regarding overseeing and providing feedback during the process should also be outlined clearly. The plans act as the blueprint, so if the design changes, the plan will also change. The next step in establishing design control is to oversee the design input. The design input of a device is primarily the design requirements. Design requirements are criteria defining the function, user requirements, and features that allow the designers to create a functioning device design from an idea. During this stage, the basic guidelines based on which a device will be made are created. Hence, manufacturers are expected to have the design criteria or input properly documented, reviewed, and approved, with an individual being responsible for it. The goal of this stage of design control is to ensure that the device design requirement reflects the user and patient needs and does not have any incomplete or flawed requirements. After the design inputs are done, the next step is to ensure the design of the device adheres to the requirements drawn up in the design input. This step also deals with the specification of the device and how they relate to input criteria. For example, if the design requirement states the device should be bio-inert during the output phase, the material of the device should be a material that does not react with biological tissue. The goal of the design output phase of design control is to ensure each output is essential for the device's intended use. The design review is a formal, written, documented review of the design result at different stages of the design development process. The review process is meticulous, with representatives from all functions of the design stage being present, as well as one or more people involved in the design process. Since it's a formal document, the results of the review and all other details of all reviews will be saved in the DHF or design history file. This allows manufacturers to assess any design flaws or malfunctions in the future and encourage transparency. The design verification phase confirms that the design output matches the design input. The design verification results, the methods, the dates, the name of the individual performing the verification, etc., will be recorded in DHF. The design validation process involves testing the device in defined conditions. The initial batches of the device, or their equivalents, are tested in real or simulated conditions to assess their use and reliability. Other details like risk analysis, software assessments, etc., are also appraised. As with other assessment processes, all details of design validation, device ID, methods, date, person responsible, etc., will be saved in the DHF. After the design has been finalized and verified as functional, the design will be used to create accurate production requirements. Specific procedures should be set for identifying, recording, validating, verifying, and reviewing before approving and carrying out any design changes. Almost all phases of design control are documented. As such, these records are kept in one place called the design history file. The manufacturer is responsible for establishing and maintaining this file.